Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Desteni I Process live Google Hangout. I'm Christina and I'm your host for this week's Sunday edition of the Desteni Process Hangout, where we're continuing the practical self-empowerment series that we've been walking. And this week we're going to look at that experience of being insecure or having insecurities in relation to social settings or anything really. I mean, it's such a general experience people can have. You can feel insecure about almost anything. But we're going to talk with Gabrielle Goodrow from outside of Boston, Massachusetts, on the East Coast in the U.S. She's just going to share with us her process of walking from insecure to living confidence and how she's practically been able to do that and support herself within that kind of change. So, hello, Gabrielle. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. Nice
So
being here.
yeah, yes, very cool to have you here. Late night, I know it's a late night for you, so very nice for you to join us.
Yeah, no problem.
So if anyone wants to join in this conversation, we absolutely encourage you to do so. You can ask questions or share comments or perspectives on the Google Plus page. The DIP Google Plus page is the Q&A app. You have to have a Google Plus account to join. Or if you're watching from YouTube, just click on be a part of the discussion and that will take you to the Google Plus page. Again, you have to have an account to join in, but we would love to hear from you. And we'll be chatting for about 40 minutes, so just make sure you get your comments in before that. So we're just going to start with Gabrielle. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your experience with insecurity? I mean, you've been walking the Desteni process for what, more than 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe just talk a little bit about your experience before you were introduced to Desteni and the process and the tools, and kind of what your experience was specifically in relation to insecurity, and what were you insecure about, and kind of what was that like for you?
Sure. So insecurity for me was something that was always in the background, so to speak, in my life. I could, through childhood, I saw it, like I was insecure in terms of many things. Say I would compare myself to other kids, say in looks, so I was aware of the beauty point since a young age. So that was something that kind of was always there, and I kind of compared looks and who I was in terms of other kids, and also skills like sports skills. So if I wasn't the best looking or the top person in the sports, then this insecurity point would come in, and that would grow over time as I was introduced with more and more kids. So insecurity just kind of built over time with me, and also it brought in this the superior point. So just to survive in the world, basically you have to kind of have this strong presence about you, or you're just going to be seen as weak and people are going to take advantage of you. So as a young age, I kind of was able to stand as that point of secure myself, so to speak. Internally I wasn't so secure, but I tried to play off like I am secure, and that would be like at times bullying younger kids, or doing things like getting into trouble and things, just to kind of show that I'm cool and I can be relatable to other kids and things like that. So insecurity was part of my life, and then so I was kind of more secure in my younger years, and then when I got into middle school, I skied into a picnic bench, and after that, these couple kids started bullying me, and so this kind of switched my view of myself as this kind of strong person to more being insecure in terms of what these kids were saying to me. I started to like now view myself in a way that is like judgmental of myself, like people are now picking on me, and why, and what is this? And so through that, I started to, like, I never actually was able to defend myself in terms of, like, fight against these bully kids. I kind of just allowed it to come at me. And I never really stood up to these kids because I for some reason didn't have it in me to just go and, like, be a bully back. One time I did, this kid was in my face and I actually punched him. And he just laughed at me. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So I kind of just let go of the whole social trying to be popular and trying to be cool and all that, and kind of just did my own thing. And, you know, that did have its consequences as well. So yeah, so I started to, in that time of being bullied, become more insecure within my social settings and kind of more moved to being more alone with myself and doing my own thing and hanging out with, you know, people that I knew and, you know, knew me and I trusted. So building new relationships with people became kind of very, very, like, it's not something I did often. Unless there was, like, a real, you know, strong connection that happened. But otherwise, I would never go and try to, you know, make friends with people and put myself out there. So that insecure point really started to build over time. And the mental part of it, the thoughts, the judgment of myself, trying to figure out why people are, you know, bullying me, all of that, you know, really created a whole storm inside myself of thoughts. And yeah, just, you know, and like, the consequence of that would be, like, I wouldn't be able to openly speak in groups, so I'd be very shy and I wouldn't, you know, openly talk. And so that I was kind of seen as a shy person. And yeah, so there's different things that happened over time that were, like, consequences of this insecurity. So.
Mm-hmm. So would you say, because I listened to a little bit a while ago, but on ECAF they have the Atlantean series where they talk about this specific point of insecurity, and it was really an interesting perspective they gave about, if you just look at the word insecure or insecurity, it's like insecure, and it's almost like within our insecurity we feel secure. And that point kind of came up when you were mentioning how after being bullied, you kind of started internalizing what was being said and kind of accepting that. And then so you would kind of maybe not isolate yourself, but you kind of moved away from the bigger group setting and kind of just went to where you were most comfortable. And it was like that point of where you feel secure, you'll exist. And if you don't feel secure, you know, maybe being around certain people because they bullied you or they reminded you of someone that's bullied you, it's like, you can't go there, I'm not going to go there because I feel insecure, and I'd rather be secure in, you know, this other kind of setting. But it's not really a solution, obviously, because you're accepting that, well, I'm insecure in this situation, I feel more comfortable in this situation, so I'm just going to go here and be around these people who I feel comfortable with.
Right.
Is that something you can relate to?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, my social upbringing after that point was very limited. So I wouldn't put myself out there. I would lose out on a lot of fun things probably that went on. I mean, in high school, I went to, like, I always had a boyfriend, so I went to parties through, like, him, and my friends were more limited. In terms of, I didn't have so many friends. I had a couple close friends. But yeah, I was always standoffish towards people. I never was, like, you know, in the group, in the center of attention, you know, I would always, like, shy away from that. I would never want to be the center of attention. Whereas when I was younger, I was more expressive and more outgoing and more, you know, like to adventure and meet all different kinds of people. So yeah, it turned into being the opposite, basically, where I was just, you know, I didn't want anything to do with people, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, what would you say, like, I mean, I know the bullying contributed to that point of insecurity, but I mean, like, what else can you give an example of that? Like, I mean, I mean, it's just interesting as children how we like children, they do express a sense of security within them. Like they're just cool to do what they want to do, and there's like no like real reservations within them. Like what, I mean, from your perspective, what changes or what changed for you specifically that kind of brought you more into the insecurity point? I mean, like, was there like certain thought patterns that repeated over and over, or was it just the bullying, or?
Yeah, so specifically, they like how I was made fun of was basically the way I looked. So what internalized was that there's something wrong with the way I look. Like there's something wrong with me and how I look, and there's something going on with my face that maybe I can't see, but other people can see this. And I created, when I met people, that they were thinking these things of me, of what these bullies said to me, regardless of if they're true or not. Like it created this huge point inside myself where I in my head talking to people, it was like they're thinking this about me, and am I looking this way? And also it turned into like, am I talking weird? Am I standing weird? All sorts of stuff. So it turned into this huge point of like being so uncomfortable in communication with other people, where I couldn't like be comfortable at all. It was there's so much going on in my mind at before I walked this destiny process, that I would just get away from it. Like I couldn't handle being with people, especially people that were more like not so sensitive or not so gentle in themselves. I would definitely stay away from those kind of people, because like that reaction, like the energy reactions, or the emotions that come up in regards to like different even different facial expressions that people made. Like if they gestured a certain way towards me, a reaction would come up inside of me, an emotional reaction, and then I'd have to deal with the thoughts that came up. And it was just this whole point that to be like a real bad experience. And through that, I created a personality within myself to handle that. So that would be the standoffish, go on my own, not want to express myself comfortably. And so it really inhibited my social interaction with people. That I'm still like, I've walked this process, but I'm still dealing with the same kind of stuff in terms of the more, I don't know, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too, because I also would define myself, or looking at my life overall, I would have said that I was an insecure person. Like I felt more insecure about myself than I did confident, or any kind of experience of confidence that I did have. It was definitely based in an ego point of energy, like a personality, like a front basically that I would put on to make myself look and feel better to other people. But it was just like, that wasn't really who I was. It wasn't a real expression of me. It was like I was always in this point of insecurity, and I would think I would have to act or say or do certain things to make myself look like I was confident. But really it's interesting, because it's just, you're just hiding from that real point within you that actually exists, of this like feeling this like little insecure little person who is like not capable of something or this or that, so I can definitely relate to that point of insecurity. And so maybe, I mean, you touched a little bit about the consequences, like obviously if you have that point existent within you when you're communicating with someone where you're feeling, behind the scenes within yourself, you're feeling insecure, there's already like a reservation, there's already like this like nervousness, this anxiety. So it's hard to relate to people openly and like honestly, and like be able to communicate. That stuff is really, it's hard to exist when you are kind of distracted by the whole insecurity point. So I mean, what did you come to realize about, so you found Destiny and you started, walking the process and investigating yourself. Like, what did you start to notice of this insecurity experience that you had? Like, what were some of the first realizations or points of support in looking at it from the Desteni process?
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, obviously, like I noticed, I had an awareness of, you know, the way people acted towards each other. Like, I saw that it's not something that's like, that's, you know, how I would want to be treated and how I would want the world to like exist as. I mean, it's just insane the way we treat each other. So I kind of always realized that point, and through that realization, I started investigating because, you know, obviously at the time of being bullied and, you know, what I was going through within myself, it was like very emotional, and it was a very difficult time for me because it was, you know, I was isolated and just having a difficult time in terms of social settings and all that. So I started, you know, studying and researching and figuring out what the hell is going on. Because obviously I realized inside myself, this is not the way I'm supposed to be experiencing myself. Like, I'm not supposed to be this upset and having such difficulty to like exist in this world. So, you know, I started researching religions and, you know, God and different, I started getting into psychic stuff. And so, you know, I started researching different alternative information out there. And eventually I got to Desteni, and, you know, what I realized was that what they say, like, you know, all life is one and equal, and, you know, we need to treat each other in a way that's best for best for all, and treat others as how you would want to be treated. And, you know, those principles also were taught to me growing up through my family. So I kind of recognize those things. And yeah, so that kind of hearing that message through the videos, and obviously getting the in-depth view of what they said was, you know, very eye-opening. And yeah, so I just, once I found those videos, I just pretty much haven't stopped since, in terms of researching the material, listening to the videos, participating. Yeah, I'm really dedicated in my process and studying it and changing myself. So it definitely had a huge impact on me getting into the Desteni process.
Yeah.
In terms of getting through this point of insecurity and getting to be, you know, stable again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because that insecurity is like carrying like this heavy luggage inside of yourself. And it's, I don't know if it was for you, but like when I started walking my process, it was such a relief to know that like I could just stop participating. Like I didn't have to feel insecure, because in that insecurity you feel weak and you feel vulnerable and you feel exposed and you feel like, you know, people are against you, and it's a lot kind of to shuffle through life with. And for me it was like, you know, wow, I can let this go. It was almost like a relief, you know, when I started working with the process. And it's like, okay, well, I'm making this all up in my head, you know, like, oh my God, I think that they're looking at me and judging me and I feel insecure within myself. It's like, I'm probably making it all up in my head, you know?
Yeah,
it was like, how amazing that to be able to like I mean, obviously some points are a little bit deeper within us, which takes a little bit more work to work through. But, you know, sometimes it is easy just in a moment to stop that experience of insecurity, like stop that one thought that is running in your mind that says you should feel insecure about this, you know?
Yeah, and also like once you start realizing that you can stop it, and, you know, you start to push yourself to walk that process of stopping it, you become more stable inside yourself, and the thoughts stop, and everything kind of, you know, gets released, or, you know, lets go of whatever's going on inside.
Yeah, Henry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's very empowering.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what did you, I mean, like you had said, you know, listening to the Desteni message and hearing kind of some of the fundamental principles, like give to another as you would like to receive, or treat others as you would like to be treated. or, you know, we're all equal. There is no one actually more or less than anyone else. That is also something that I heard a lot growing up. But what I found with the Destiny message is I had an actual practical way of applying that in my life, you know, whereas before it was like just sayings. It wasn't really, you know, it was like, yeah, I had this idea of what that meant, but I didn't know how to actually live it. So how were you able to like practically live this point of stopping insecurity? I mean, what did you do practically within your process to kind of work through that point?
Yeah. So one thing that's awesome about the Destiny process and the Destiny forums and stuff is that, you know, you can go and work, you know, talk to people that are walking the same process. So it's not just like, you know, people say things to you and they're not actually living it. You know, these people are actually walking the process just as you are. So you get firsthand perspectives of people that are actually walking it too. So your scope of the subject broadens so much because so many other people are also walking it. So they give the information that you may have missed or haven't seen yet. So that was one awesome aspect of it. And I'm sorry, I missed the question again. What did you say?
That's okay. No, I'm going to add to what you just said, because I also found with the like forum support, what's really cool is you could be talking about this, you know, a certain experience you have about insecurity, and like 8 people can come on and tell you how they experience the exact same thing and the exact same thoughts. And it's like, wow, it almost kind of takes away that power of that insecurity experience that you have. It's like, wow, I'm not alone in this experience. There are other people who have this experience, and it's, you know, it's almost like when we think we're the only person that experiences this way, it almost makes it like more than what it actually is. But you hear that other people experience exactly the same thoughts and they have the exact same experience. It's like, okay, well, it's not as big as I've kind of created it to be, you know?
Yeah, and definitely participating in the forums, you get that perspective, and the mind can make it seem that like it's only you, like you're this like, you know, horrible person or whatever. But no, everybody else is experiencing the same exact stuff. Like we're all experiencing the same stuff. So it's it's definitely a cool tool to participate on the forum if you're looking at Destiny.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even that aspect of not communicating, like to have the forums within the group to be able to communicate on that, already takes away the power, anything that's going on within ourselves, because, you know, our minds are such kept secret. And if we're able to actually verbalize what's going on, that again kind of empowers you to give direction to your experience and to practice not making it such a big deal, but actually just speaking about it, you know?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the way the Destiny process is structured is it's very cool, because in the beginning I had no understanding of like computers, like even going on the forum, like doing the coding for the URLs and stuff. Like I didn't know any of that. I didn't have any interest in that stuff. So it pushes you to learn all that stuff, and also the writing. I mean, you know, before Destiny, I never wrote in journals. I was more outdoors type person, so I was more into athletics and being outside rather than doing any kind of writing or any art or anything like that. So, so the writing also pushed my communication and opening up within myself to, you know, communicate with other people and communicate with myself as well. So the writing process that Destiny pushes is, or suggests to walk, is very specific and supportive in opening yourself up to who you are within yourself in these kind of things that you can believe are just you and you alone that's facing this stuff. So the whole structure is pretty sweet, pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so before we make this hangout all about the awesome support that Destiny forums are, let's just talk a little bit more about so what did you see, like what did you notice with this point of insecurity in relation to social settings? Like how did you see that kind of start to change and transform as you were walking your process and kind of I mean, in general, I would say walking this process supports in stabilizing an individual. And within that, it almost kind of simultaneously takes on any insecurities you have. Because if you can just breathe in a moment and let go of any thoughts or emotions or, experiences, you become comfortable. And in that, almost confident, because you're able to just be present with yourself. And so what did you start to notice, what changes did you start to notice as you're walking your process in relation to these experiences of feeling insecure in relation to other people?
Right. So one of the main type of thoughts that I have was that I'm not worthy, I'm not good at anything, I'm just not like a useful person. So I had this view of myself of being very low and not capable and not good at anything really. I mean, yeah, so basically that was my view of myself before Desteni, before I got into this process. And then opening up in the writing, figuring out, what's going on inside of me in terms of these patterns that are going on, and doing the writing every day, taking a point that came up, like even a thought pattern, you are not worthy, and writing very specifically and detailed in my day-to-day living of what came up in terms of that I am not worthy. Like, why am I seeing this as myself? Why am I viewing myself in this way? What's coming up in my world that is creating this experience or these thoughts to be triggered of I'm not worthy? So day by day, you kind of work with just a piece of information and write the self-forgiveness and self-commitments out. And yeah, so through the writing process, you start to open up these points and figure out, why you're existing in this way, and it kind of deflates like all the energy within it, because you start to see that, these things aren't actually like real, like they're just like I am capable of stuff, like I am doing stuff that is useful and everything. So I started to like the picture in my mind that I've created of me being this horrible person, like kind of just started to dissolve, and I started to really see actually who I am in this reality. And then through that, I started to correct myself, where when the thought came up, I stopped it. I didn't accept it anymore. So then I started to realize that, whoa, I'm actually very capable in, say for instance in work, like I'm capable in organizing things and structuring things and being focused. And so I started to see more of myself in the physical, like how I actually physically am in reality. And yeah, I started to view myself differently now. Like in viewing myself differently, I started to gain that stability and confidence in myself, because I knew over time, as I practiced these different correction processes, as I started to live these corrections, I saw that, okay, I'm capable of change, and I just saw the results in my reality. I got more responsibilities. I put myself in more positions where I had more responsibilities, but through that I got more opportunities, and I started to grow in my work situation. And I started to become more open with people, discussing what I've learned and what I see. And people start to come to me and ask me advice and for support, which never happened before, because I was so, don't come near me, basically. So just different things started to open up, and I started to become more like stable in myself, and more clear like in my view of myself, and more clear in reality in terms of seeing more of what's really going on in my world, instead of listening to my mind and having all these thoughts come in, because I started to stop them, and they started to, for instance, dissolve or kind of be let go of. So
Yeah, awesome. I can say, I mean, just another ode to Desteni and the process and how specific it is for us. we've, as a group, been putting out vlogs, I mean, since, for years now. And, even me coming in, I remember your videos from the beginning, and it was like, what a difference now even seeing you, because your videos before were just, you on the couch and kind of really soft voice, like really kind of quiet, really kind of, you just seemed really inverted, and like now, look at you, it's like, it's just such a difference, like there's more tonality to your voice, there's more substance, there's like just more like, I'm here. So it's just so cool, like even to be able to see everyone who participates, how the process does support them. Like it's a visual, you can see it visually. Like we have the vlogs and the blogs that show kind of how the process has moved for us, and it's just, it's quite cool to see.
Yeah, and it's quite cool to live as well. I mean,
oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really cool because throughout our lives we are told that we can't do stuff, or we're not like good. To be good, you have to be this exceptional person, and we're all just average people in terms of we all just live life. We've had our issues and all that, and we can all change and become more stable, more confident, and just through walking change in yourself, you see who you can become, and then you start to want to keep doing this and doing it. And our goals are specific, and we're here to support what is best for all and change this way human beings are interacting with each other to be more stable and more cohesive and harmonious. So there's purpose as well that we're looking at and walking, and that also supports with this change as well, to have purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it seems just to kind of go with the territory. I mean, when one applies themselves within the tools that Desteni supports us with, it kind of just comes with the territory. You're going to become more confident because you're going to get to know yourself, and you're going to get to know who you actually are and what you're actually making up and what you can stop participating in, and what supports you and what doesn't support you. And I think too, when you make those changes, as we've been discussing, you build that self-trust, and with that self-trust comes confidence as well, because you know who you are in those moments, and you know how you're going to apply yourself, and you know how to apply yourself, and it's quite amazing. I mean, we were talking a little bit before in the hangout, we still face this point of insecurity in relation to certain aspects, but it's just another layer that you take on. You transcend one layer and you go to the next, and it's just kind of going deeper into ourselves and really making sure that we're clear within all that we do. And do you maybe want to talk a little bit about that, like where you're facing that point now? You were talking about a little bit of your business and
yeah, sure,
how that's coming up.
Yeah, so I ventured in a new business. What my day job now is an office manager, and that's what, like, system-wise I was meant to do. I'm very, apt to be a manager. Like I have all the skills and stuff to do that kind of job, but now I'm becoming a saleswoman, and I have to go and interact with people and get people to sign up and buy my product. And it's like, it's a whole new area that I would absolutely in the past never do. Like I'd never want to do this. So it's a challenge for sure, because I don't have any past experiences in this. So I have to learn from this, like from the start, from scratch. And but through the Desteni tools, like I have everything here. I've already walked a lot of processes with other points, so I know how to move myself. And yeah, I mean, the product I'm selling is exceptional. So, and the group I'm with is exceptional as well. So it's definitely a cool opportunity, and I want to make the best of it and not obviously allow fear and my own kind of points to hold me back. So of course I'm going to walk the process that I've always walked, which is the Destiny process of self-forgiveness, self-correction, self-change, and just keep persevering and pushing forward. And that's what you have to do. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Do you think it's ironic that you're kind of venturing into the world that you are now in terms of work and what it takes for sales, coming from the type of personality you had in terms of being more kind of in the background or shy or insecure? I mean, it's kind of interesting how, I mean, I've noticed that too. It's like I find myself presented with opportunities that really challenge the ideas I've had of myself, or it really kind of pushes me to stand in a position where I never thought ever I could ever do. And so did you find that with the sales? Like, were you like, oh man, like what was your experience when you started looking at, going into sales and what it takes for sales?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it wasn't that scary as if I was back in my past. Like if this came up, I probably would have not done it. Like I wouldn't have gone for it. So just, having what I have now through my process of what I've walked, I know, like I have that self-trust. I know that I can move through things. I know that, once you get over like a fear point, everything opens up, and you're more capable. So I just know that, I mean, it is ironic because of who I was in the past. I mean, it's just I was the opposite of salesperson-y. So it is kind of a funny twist, and it's something like I'm definitely going to take the challenge, and I'm going to do my best with it because it's what I want to do. So
awesome. Well, quite a cool hangout, I would say, in terms of showing the product of the process, and so such a cool example you have.
Thanks. You too, Christina.
So I suppose any last words to anyone watching that might feel like they're just so feeling insecure about things and kind of holding themselves back, and just
I mean, if you have any, like if you're watching this and you are insecure and you don't think that you can do what you want to do, if you have goals and you just don't think that you can go there, just realize that you definitely have it in you. I mean, what opens up through walking this process is like an expression and a confidence that it can't be taken away from me because I've lived it. So it's like I know what I'm capable of because I've actually walked the steps to get to where I am now. So it can't be taken away from you. And if you do have any doubts or anything, come on the forum and write it out, and we'll share with you and help you to get to a point where you too can be confident, have that self-trust as you walk your process as well. So, I mean, in the beginning it seems overwhelming, but you just have to push through all those overwhelming feelings and fears, and ask for support. I mean, I ask for support all the time. I still do. If I have questions, I go and ask for answers. So don't hesitate to ask and get perspective, because there's so many that do want to help people and share, and it's fun too. I mean, it's cool to talk to people about this kind of subject because it's substantial, and it creates a better world for everybody. I mean, better human beings, and so we're here if you need support, and definitely go for it, because why not?
Yeah, absolutely. We have one life, so might as well see what our potential is.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it at that because that was great, and I think we've said what we can say. So, Gabrielle, I think we filled the hangout, so thank you for joining me. It was really cool. I really enjoyed the discussion with you.
Yeah, it was great, Christine. Thank you.
So we'll be back this Friday with another Destiny movie hangout. Stay tuned for that. As well, within the next week, Cerise will be back with another relationship support series. So also stay tuned. We will have the links available as soon as the dates are set. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.